to be able to just make a choice on your own and just be able to speak for yourself.
This One's Wife. The In-Rictus games. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Yes, the In-Rictus or In-Rictus games have commenced, and already it has provided plenty of material exhibiting this one's wife's narcissism. This is not a surprise. After all, she is interacting with plenty of other people. Whether it is introducing her husband, my husband, whether it is sitting in the stands observing what is going on, whether it is listening to the music that is played, whether it's watching the opening ceremony, whether it's meeting people involved in the games, whatever it is, everything that she says, everything that she does, is governed by one thing and one thing only: her narcissism. There's nothing else at play. Each act, each word, each sentence, each expression is governed by her narcissism. When she's dealing with someone, she has to control them, and for the most part, she will be doing that directly. Maybe one of you will task yourself with the number of hugs you witness her giving. After all, she is a hugger. We will see the overly tactile behaviours, not only towards Harry, prodding him, grabbing him, holding his arm, grasping his hand, kissing him, but also towards all of the people that she meets. We will see the necessity of drawing fuel from all of these individuals. Harry is the intimate partner primary source, people that she knows as non-intimate secondary sources, and the bulk of individuals, because they are strangers to her, non-intimate tertiary sources. But there's plenty of fuel flying her way as a consequence of the fact that she's going to be meeting many hundreds, if not thousands of people, that there are going to be people clapping and cheering and maybe even booing. It gives her an opportunity to acquire character traits from those that she speaks to make their experiences her own. It also provides her with an opportunity to manage the facade, which is a residual benefit. She's also utilised the In-Rictus games as an opportunity to receive a residual benefit of somewhere flashy to stay, travelling in a private jet, and quite possibly having part of her wardrobe funded. The utilisation of the assets of this organisation demonstrates a lack of emotional empathy for the veterans and an absence of boundary recognition by virtue of the asset appropriation. Be under no illusion. If you find yourself asking, why did she do that? What did it mean when she said that? Why is she behaving this way? All roads lead back to her narcissism and its pursuit of the prime aims. That is the background app governing her behaviour. One aspect of her behaviour that has become immediately apparent and has caused me to make reference to the In-Rictus games is, of course, the rictus grin of this one's wife, which has been paraded. As I'm talking to you and you're enjoying and savouring my chocolatey, velvety tones, across the screen you will see some instances of the appearance of the rictus grin within just 1 and a bit days of the commencement of the In-Rictus games. Why do you see this rictus grin? Well, first of all, her grin is rather prominent as a consequence of the fact that she has oversized teeth. Many people have commented on the fact that she has veneers, and quite possibly her real teeth have dissolved away to mere stumps or fangs, and that she's repeatedly changed her veneers in an attempt to have that all-winning white American smile. Certainly there's nothing wrong with having a lovely smile. Certainly there's nothing wrong with having presentable teeth. Indeed, there are many people that ought to go and see a dentist. But with her veneers often appear to be too large in her mouth. Quite why that is, well, it might be linked to her somaticism, because once again, she thinks she looks good, even though she doesn't necessarily do so, because of the delusion of her narcissism as this somatic narcissist. But what this means by having the somewhat oversized veneers is that her grin is more noticeable. That, of course, is something that she would want, because she wants you to witness her. She wants you to notice her. But it does mean that when the rictus grin makes an appearance, it's more obvious compared to, say, somebody else, by virtue of these large gnashes that are on display. The second aspect of why you see this rictus grin and see it repeatedly is as a consequence of the receipt of fuel. She's at an event where she is making herself the star of the show. Anybody with an ounce of brains knows that Harry is the main person. He's the patron of these games. She is there as the hanger-on. She is the +1. She is the wife of this one. She is not involved in the games in any meaningful way, but that doesn't matter in her world. Everybody is there to see her. Everybody's lives are enriched as a consequence of meeting her. They're so pleased and inspired that she is there. Harry is the spare to her attendance at the games. And accordingly, the receipt of fuel from all the various people greeting her, being polite to her, cheering her, and so forth, makes her feel powerful. It's like she's being injected with rocket fuel so that she feels a soaring sensation. It pushes away the emptiness that exists within her, so she feels it less. The anxiety that's caused by dropping fuel levels recedes, and instead she moves through the gears, starting to feel powerful, almost fizzing. That's why on occasions she presents as if she's high as a kite. Now, undoubtedly there have been some instances where recreational pharmaceuticals or alcohol have played their part, but there are other occasions where I will wager she has not imbibed, but it makes her look like she has, because what you're witnessing is the fizzing effect of the receipt of all of this fuel. She's basically bursting with it. The other aspect of this rictus grin is that she doesn't actually know how to behave. She is like a robot that needs code written for her so that she understands what she should do in certain situations. This is applicable to all narcissists. Certain narcissists have excellent code written for them, which is retained, so that having learned that there is a particular way that one ought to respond in a particular situation, not only is the narcissist able to fabricate an appropriate reaction through facial expression, body language, tone, words used, etc., but they remember that and can utilize it time and time again. These are your more evolved and effective narcissists, such as your glorious narrator. Other narcissists, their code is a bit wonky, and it's got some glitches in it. It's got some flaws in it. So what happens is that you sometimes get the wrong reaction at the time of where a reaction is required. See my video, The Imitation Game. Or the reaction is too much or too little. It doesn't quite sit right because the code has been flawed, and in other instances, the narcissist simply doesn't remember the code from the previous time. Remember, this one's wife, as I pointed out a long, long time ago, is empty on the inside, and therefore she needs this code essentially compiled by the narcissism to tell her what to do. And instead, her coder had a late night and is supping the Red Bull, trying to get rid of a minging hangover, as it goes, oh, for goodness sake, she's forgotten it again, I'll have to input it. And fortunately, because they haven't put their contact lenses in, the screen's a little bit blurred and the code that's given is flawed. And therefore, rather than her give a warm and engaging smile emulating emotional empathy, what you get is this ridiculous rictus grin. Accordingly, you notice it because of her oversized veneers. You notice it because it's a reaction to the fuel that she's receiving. And thirdly, it's the inappropriate reaction because her narcissism glitches and doesn't provide her with an appropriate response. And it fails to remember what ought to have been done the last time and instead keeps going to this glitching rictus grin. As you've seen from the various pictures, it's appeared several times, making this the In-Rictus games. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.